All right, so as y'all know, a lot of this work takes sharing it with others and making sure that we're not working in silos and that we are making sure everybody is involved. So one thing that I've been doing with my colleagues and my teammates has been just telling them to start off small, starting off with something that they're familiar with, something that they're used to doing, but just pushing themselves a little bit more so that they get a little bit out of their comfort level. Um, I was wondering, what advice do you all have about engaging in this work?
So I really think for me, a big misconception was that the toolkit is just helping us choose culturally responsive text, but it's actually not. It's actually can be used to provide a lesson based on our Common Core curriculum or whatever curriculum you're using at your school. However, it is doing the work of then helping us provide texts that support that and provide texts that are accurately telling those stories that support those objectives. So it's really helpful in that area for me. Also, I think teachers definitely need to keep an open mind, like you said. I think a lot of new teachers can feel like, oh, this work is so daunting, but it's really not. This toolkit really breaks it down for you so that you're just starting with self. The easiest thing to talk about is yourself. So you're starting with self, you're then thinking about your students, and then from that point, you're thinking about how you're engaging them, both academically as well as culturally, to build their background knowledge. So we definitely have to be open-minded, and we just have to know that any teacher can use this. We have to understand that although we have been teaching a certain way for a long time, we definitely have to have that growth mindset in knowing that we can bring these texts to our students and really tell these stories that not only represent them, but represent others globally.
Yeah, I want to pick up on what you guys like. I heard the words comfort level and daunting. And so, just three things that helped me these past few years of like getting more and more into this work through like my personal, for me, it's kindergarten read alouds. Is there's three things. One, being super clear to families at the beginning of the year that these topics will be discussed and the dignity of others will be upheld in the classroom, and making it super clear like, these conversations will happen. And I even asked them, what are you super passionate about? What do you want it to come up? Are there any books you love? And then also like, what might be difficult for your family when we get to it? Like, it's still going to happen in our classroom, but we want to help you go through that with your child. And then going back to comfort, a lot of times discomfort comes from a lack of understanding and knowing you don't have that understanding. So really just seek information, research, Google, listen to people with the same identity or representation that you're going to be teaching in. A lot of your discomfort might be you don't know the right and wrong things to say. So do the work to try and figure out what those right and wrong things are. And then lastly is sometimes less can be more. So if you're worried that something you say might be the wrong thing, don't say it. Don't put it out there. It's okay. Practice reflective listening with your students. Say, we'll have to find that answer. Always uphold the dignity of others, but you don't have to like wrap really complex issues up with like a little bow. Just like you don't have to guess an answer about science. You know, you would go researching, give them the accurate answer. So just do what you can, but also know you will always be learning, and it's okay not to know what to say sometimes.
Definitely. And Victoria, I heard you talk about discomfort, which I think is something that's really important. And I think that can also come when we're rolling that text out to our kids, because sometimes it can also feel a little uncomfortable when you're reading something that you're not necessarily familiar with, or maybe you don't quite know how to pronounce the names of certain characters and things of that nature. So I think it's really important to kind of help with that discomfort is to do that research beforehand. Make sure you have as much background knowledge as possible about whatever the subject is that you're teaching about or whatever story you're telling. And then super important to just ensure that we are pronouncing names properly, we are pronouncing the title properly and things of that nature so that your students aren't walking away with any misconceptions as they're leaving the text.
I'm hearing you both about stepping out of our comfort level and being okay with misunderstandings. And I think this advice about being open-minded and having a growth mindset is really useful. And I think when telling this to other teachers, I also want to tell them that nobody expects you to be an expert or perfect person when it comes to understanding cultural relevancy. That we are all learners, both adults and students, and that we could, if we have that growth mindset, we're all just moving forward, and a small step forward is still a step forward. So I think these are great things that we could share with others, and hopefully this helps other people get started.